Hello, how are you? How's your week been? Welcome to another episode of Dr. Uma's Week. So it's been a busy week, as every week is. But I think the theme of this week has been Christmas productions, Christmas party, and realizing that I am getting much older. So let's start from the very beginning. Unfortunately, I had to break some bad news, and it's always very difficult having to break bad news and tell a family something that nobody wants to hear it. And that's part of the job, isn't it? Having to tell people that things are not fine and watch them go through the very natural response and the emotions, and it has a massive impact. I think as I've had children, it's become more difficult breaking bad news, and not actually breaking the bad news. I think with time you do get better. I dare say get used to it at times. But the emotion of going through, I always feel really sad going home, and I sit there at dinner and I look at my own children, and you just wonder, I wish I'm not on the other side of that conversation. And you really appreciate your family, your kids, when you're having to deal with that. And I think that is part of the job. And I guess it's really normal. It's not something that we talk about. How do you feel when you're having to give bad news? Do you think about your own kids? I mean, I remember when I had my first son and I came back from maternity leave, and there was a child that was brought into resus who was probably a toddler. Dad had made a hot coffee, freshly made, black. Was just on the edge of the counter. Dad had turned his back to do something, and his child had sort of waved his arms, hit the coffee, and it spilt all over them and sustained really serious burns. And I remember it coming in. The child was crying. The burn looked really nasty. The father is in tears of guilt. And before having my son, I didn't really react with emotion. Very much, job at hand. This is my job. This is what I'm going to do. Let's fix it. Very get on type thing. Not being nasty with the situation. It's just that element, that layer of I can truly be in this person's shoes was not there because I didn't have children. But now I had the idea when I was dealing with it. As much as I was dealing with it, I don't think there was a problem with how I dealt with it. I was just having flashback. No, it's not flashbacks. It's just visions of, what if that was me and my child had done this? How would I feel? What would I do? What are the long-term, the scarring and the long-term consequence of a burn? And it made me hesitant for a few moments, and then you sort of click back into role and you get on. But you do think about it. And I think, when you every time I have to break bad news, I always go home and give my kids a hug. I always spend a little bit more time with them. Very grateful that they are well. But I'm sure we all, as doctors, medics, nurses, anyone within healthcare, when you're dealing with children who have gone through unfortunate situations, you reflect, don't you? And again, having to break the news and tell them was emotionally difficult. But then I had to report their scan, and now the day is over. The case will need to be presented in the group meeting. So I was up till midnight going through it with a fine comb, reporting it, making sure it was all ready for the meeting. And that's just part of your job, isn't it? You know, that's what you need to do, and it's your responsibility. And as a post CCT person, someone's completed training, you know, the buck falls on you. I mean, I guess it falls on my supervisor, but I'm at a stage where I take on that responsibility. So when so in the morning, so I'll come to my point. In the morning, before I went to work, my youngest had his Christmas production. So I went and attended that. And, you know, I feel like when you're further along your training, or you've completed your training, you're in a position that I'm in, taking time off and being away from work for an hour or so is okay. You don't seem to get much resistance, friction, and people understand. And you go, and, you know, I felt like with my first son, I had a lot of difficulty attending a lot of stuff, and I missed a lot. Because I don't think the NHS is really particularly kind. I think that's a word to use. When it comes to taking time off or being there, being a father, being a parent. You know, I can't come to, you know, something for an hour or so because I've got to go to parents' evening, or I've got to, you know, attend a school meet. I've missed lots of sports day as a father, and I feel really bad. I've always felt so guilty, and I'm sure that's going to have a long-term effect that I won't find out till later on. And it's really sad because, you know, in the past, when I've missed sports day, because I can't take annual leave, or there's just not enough staff available to allow me not to be there. And so other fathers would sort of chip in and, you know, race or be part of the sort of activities on my behalf. And I felt I'm really grateful to the other fathers. But I also feel really guilty. I'm sure my son's looking around and thinking, everyone else's father is here. Why isn't mine? Why am I having to be with my friend's dad? And yeah, it's really difficult, you know, the cost of this job. And yet they tell us that it's a vocation and that we are doing good work and we should be grateful just for that, you know. But so I think when you finish training, it's a bit more forgiving. So my second one, I guess, he's getting the better side of me in that regard. But I make sure now I'm really hot on pushing to be off and really being there, because I've realised I don't want to be in the situation that I've been in the past. So anyway, so I went there and I meet my fellow father friend, who is a very close friend of mine, and he was just, how's things, whatnot. You could see I was quite tired. So yeah, I was up all night having to report a scan, and, you know, it's just been an unfortunate situation. He's, wow, so you're up quite late, you know. And he was just telling me, like, he's a lawyer, and he says that, you know, we do all nighters. We can be in the office till really late working, but we get paid for that. We get billed for that. We get bonuses. We get, you know, things, you know, perks. I mean, he did a really good job. His boss gave him, you know, his apartment in Italy to go and have a holiday in. And, you know, it's not like I don't do my job for the financial gain. But again, it's like, I say this, I guess I've been saying, this has been a theme, hasn't it? the lack of gratitude within the NHS for the hard work our staff, not me, not doctors, staff, all of us, and the extra mile will go. I'm not paid to sit and report this scan. I'm not paid to work at home at midnight, or even if I stayed at work and work, I'm not paid for that. And it happens more often than you think. Now, this isn't a trust issue. This isn't a particular hospital issue. This is an NHS issue. And so many of us, even newly qualified, who are there till 7 o'clock, making sure things are ready for tomorrow or things are completed before they go home, they're not paid for that. And I think I see that the younger generation are better at standing up and saying, well, I'm not doing it if it's not within my hours. But then comes the other point as well, isn't it? That you can't fit training and development within your working hours. You're going to have to work outside them to be able to learn, to gain, to get experience. Now, I think that's a conversation for another time. I think that's something could have a really interesting conversation about. Where is the line between service provision and training, and what does our contract actually prepare us for, or is asking us to do? But I diverged, don't I? So he was just telling me, it made me realize again that, this is the healthcare system we're in, and I want to highlight it. Just not to say that I'm great. No, all my colleagues work like me, and they're all great. I think it's more to illustrate to you what your NHS does for you, what your NHS is all about, and that a lot of the work we do is out the goodness of our own heart. And that's probably why the NHS has been able to sustain itself in such an underfunded way. It's because we have just worked at the goodness of our own heart. But, eventually kindness can only go so far. And eventually, if you bend the stick will snap. And so, where are we? How long will the NHS sort of be treated like this? And so I felt, it just made me realize. I mean, I don't regret doing it. I think of this poor family and what they're going through, and that actually, if I can do something to help with their journey, that's what I should do. That's what I've been trained to do. That's why I came into medicine. It is for my patients, and I'm, I am nothing without my patients, and so I have no issue with that. But it just sort of makes you realize, when you see that all other industries, there's a different way of doing stuff and a different reward system, and no one seems to have a problem with that. No one has a problem if your lawyer's driving really nice cars, eating in really nice restaurants, dressing in really nice clothes, having big bills given to you from them, or any other industry. Yet when it comes to the NHS, we have a problem. And I think, again, I just want to sort of illustrate that. But anyway, I made the Christmas production. It was really nice, really proud of my boy. And, he's just at that age, isn't he? He's really young. He just loves the magic of Christmas. So it was really nice. And, I went to work and I did what I had to do. And my team, very understanding, appreciate that I have a family and kids. So, it was nice to be able to do that now that I'm out of training. So I had that, and, that was grand. And did the meeting and whatnot. And then I had a day off. Had a random day off in the middle of the week. And the reason why I had a day off is because I had to go and sort out my wife's car. The wife needed me to drop it off, get it sorted, and be around to collect it, or at least do the school pickup. So what does a pediatric cardiologist do on his day off? Well, when I got cake, it was nice to have a sit down, have a coffee with my wife, kids free. Nice to catch up what was going on in her life, and enjoy cake in peace without people touching my cake. So that was really, really nice. And what else did I do? I had a haircut. So I talk about this because I don't ever manage to fit a haircut in. Again, I'm at work when they're open, and when I finish work, they're closed. And I never get around to doing it. I actually got to, and that was great. But then it comes that point, that monthly reminder of how old I'm becoming. And if you don't know what I mean, it's when they put the mirror, after they finish the haircut, they put the mirror on behind your head to show you the back of the hair, as though they haven't cut it. You're fully aware they've cut your hair from behind, that you need proof. But for me, it's the reminder that my hair, my crown, my halo of baldness is just getting bigger and bigger. It looks like a tree. You know when you cut a tree and you see the rings, and I remember as a child I was taught through camping, you can tell how old a tree is by the number of rings they had. And it sort of reminds me of that. You look at the back of the head and you realise, oh wow, it's getting bigger. And the guy, my barber's name's Mick. He's really kind. He always, it's fine. There's nothing there. You're fine. Always really positively reassuring. But I know deep down I'm losing my hair. And how depressing do I find that? Because I don't think I have the most attractive head shape. So I dread to shave it all off. And so I'm just sort of coping with my hair, but it's just my daily my monthly reminder that it is slowly going, and eventually I'm going to embrace it. And I'm probably going to do what most people do and grow stubble or some sort of short beard when I finally lost all my hair, just to sort of make out as though my hair is still there. I haven't lost it. It's merely migrated to my face. But I have to come to terms with that. Actually, I'm losing my hair. I'm getting older. Maybe once I'm a lot older, people are not really going to care. Now, that was fine. Went to work, and then I have, at the end of the week, I have my oldest and his Christmas production, and he was preparing this. Really, he got selected to give a speech, the opening speech, and it was about a couple of minutes long. And he had practically been selected. They felt that he was a very confident young man. He's very articulate. And so they made an exception and brought someone from the lower year, i.e. him, into the Christmas thing that they were doing. So he was really proud of himself that he had achieved it. Of course, we both, as his parents, were very proud of him. Now here comes the dilemma. Who's going to go and watch this during school hours? I have clinical responsibilities. My wife is a GP, also has a clinic. Who is now going to be off? And I have a morning clinic to sort out. And so I said, well, if I manage to finish my morning clinic, and I made provisions for people to help me out so that I could leave, then I would go and catch it from the beginning. And I said, no, it's fine. I'll leave much earlier than I need to, but that will give me time to get there, so that I don't miss it. It's the opening bit, right? So it's really big. I've got to be there from the word go, ready with my camera to film it. Well, not all plans go to, sort of set out or pan out as they're supposed to. So, do my clinic, and unfortunately, big cases, a lot of things had to be discussed. Fortunately, I had a colleague that helped me out. So, though I did not finish at the time I wanted to, I finished at a reasonable time. Now, here I am, finished, wish bosh bosh, running out of the hospital, running across like I somehow have stolen something from the hospital, out. And if you've been to St Thomas's, there's a massive bridge by the Big Ben and the House of Parliament, where it seems that Instagram and every TikToker seems to be there. And it's really, really annoying, because it's so hard to get from A to B through there, because everyone's taking their photos. Everyone is posing. There are boyfriends taking pictures of their girlfriends for their accounts. And I know we mock and we have these funny things, these videos on social media that talk about how the boyfriend or the partner or someone is doing this and how it's really all made. But you actually see it happening. And it's so annoying when you're trying to run across to the station. It's like the distance is not that far, and yet it takes so long. And you're running through and you look like you've done something wrong, and you're pacing and you're running through and you're trying to duck, dive, avoid. I'm sure there are going to be multiple videos on social media of this crazy guy running behind their shots trying to get somewhere. And you know what? You'll know that's me. But you don't want to run too fast, because then you also feel like you're going to get stopped for, being suspicious. And so it's a balance between the two. But I got there, I was sweating profusely. I felt really hot because I had everything on my back. And I got to the station. You don't want to run too fast through the station, because again, you're going to look suspicious. Got to my train, got to where I need to be. Now, I had a decision to make. Do I get to the station that I normally get to, where my car's been parked, so that I could actually drive to where I need to be for this production? Or do I take the other train, which was a little bit earlier, and take a taxi? Well, of course, I decided, I need to make sure I'm there on time. I'm going to get a taxi. So not only did I waste my time parking my car in the station car park near the location, I'm not going to get there in time. I'm going to get a taxi from a different station and get there across. Thankfully, I was on time. I was getting there. Caught a cab, and because the cabbie's phone was not working, that was like sort of ticking this the fare, that just he just stopped the car. And I'm looking at him. I said, look, I don't have time for this. I need to go. I really got to be something. He goes, no, but this is not working. I have to make this work. I was like, look, we know how much this journey is going to cost. I'll just pay you whatever it is. Let's just go. He was like, no, I've got to stop. Stops the car. I'm standing there. I'm tapping my feet in the car. I was like, come on, mate, you need to hurry up. Anyway, I got there with minutes to spare, and I'm so happy. I filmed it. He looked really happy when he saw me walk through the door. He was like, yes, finally, one of my parents has decided to turn up. Great. And I turn on the camera and I'm filming it. But you know what? I've got this daunting feeling halfway through the recording. Is it actually recording anything? And normally you would never think that, right? If you're filming something, you just film it. You're like, yeah, it's done. But I just felt like I can't shout out, can you start again? Or there's no other parent filming this. It's my child. I'm the only one filming it. So it was that nerve setting. Anyway, bottom line is, it was fine. Worked out fine. Great. And very proud. We went home. Now, what do I do after that? Well, it was also the Christmas party. And I had decided, I said to my wife, why don't you come with me? And that surprised a lot of people. I don't think people expected me to bring my wife. To be fair, I thought everyone would bring their own partner. So my wife was not very happy with me about that. But then, I said, look, it's fine. We'll go. It'll be fun. We don't get to go out very often anymore. The kids are slightly older now. So I said, look, let's drop them off to the in-laws. We'll catch a train. We'll go there. It'll be great. Okay, so the venue was really nice, and the venue picked by someone else. The photos looked really good, and where was the problem? The problem was that the pictures don't tell you the atmosphere, just tell you what the place looks like when it's empty. So the music was ridiculously loud. To the point where I could barely hear the person next to me or in front of me throughout the whole evening, which I thought to me defied the purpose of a Christmas social or any social. I couldn't really socialise with anyone. So it was really loud. I think the younger registrars and the younger members of the team were really happy, had no problem what was going on. But the older, I wouldn't say generation. I don't like that word. The older people of our group did not appreciate how loud it was. And it was just so loud. So that I felt like I was going to be deaf. My concerns started falling into, I'm going to get ringing in my ears on my way home. My wife is going to be really annoyed at me at how loud it is. This whole point was to have a sociable night. And it was a really nice night. Don't get me wrong. I really enjoyed it. We all really enjoyed it. But it was just too loud. And I realised, you know what? I'm coming to realise my haircut, I'm getting bolder and older, and my days off are getting boring, getting more boring. And now I'm at this party and it's too loud. Food was good, and then I started thinking, oh my God, it's getting quite late now. I should leave, and thinking about how late it was. I just came to realise I'm getting old now. I would never have thought and sort of behaved like that before. I don't know about you. When was the turning point that you were actually feeling, okay, I am getting old? And you know what? The next day, I woke up really late. And I woke up really late. I'll tell you, there's a reason why I woke up really late. But when we got back, we collected my youngest. The oldest wanted to have a sleepover. We said, fine. The youngest we collected, we know he's going to wake up in the middle of the night anyway, and we're not going to be there. And so we said, look, we said to the grandparents that we'll take him home. He was awake. We got back at midnight to my in-laws. We picked him up. I'm so glad we did, because what do you think happened? Halfway through the night, he spiked a fever. And, there I am awake, asleep. I won't say awake. Going downstairs, trying to figure out, okay, right, I'm getting ibuprofen, getting the Nurofen out. Right, looking at the age, looking at the dose, looking at the age, looking at the dose, half asleep, don't want to make a drug error, not that I'm going to have an SI in my own house, but, you think, oh my God, I don't know if hold on, how old is he? Right, let me remind myself, is the dose right? I don't want to overdose him. And then you come back upstairs, and my wife's like, what's taking you so long? I was like, I don't know, I'm so tired, I don't even know what I was looking at. And then, we gave him his bed. But I'm like a bear now. If you disturb me in the middle of the night and I go back to sleep, it's like my body's just said, look, forget what, if you slept 4 hours before, we're starting 8 hours again. And I woke up really late. I was so tired. And was I tired because I was woken up in the middle of the night? Was I tired because of the party and the loud noise and just how late it was? And I was like, God, I'm really aging now. So I sing there pondering to my life, about my life, and I'm still tired. I'm still so tired. I feel like I need a little mini break after the Christmas party. Christmas is such a stressful time of year. It's just, what can I say? I think I came to realize I'm getting very old. But another, as I said, and then he got unwell. And now what are we doing? My wife and I are looking at each other saying, already thinking, what are we going to do on Monday? Who's going to be off? There we go. I said this before. The memory bank comes out. The who took the last day off, and how many times have you been off this year already? I don't want to look bad at work. I don't want to look bad at work. And we're both like now contemplating, is he going to be okay for school Monday? Who's going to be off if he isn't? What drama is that going to cause? What sort of response am I going to get from the text message when I say, I can't come in, my little one's unwell? Parent dilemmas, and it is very stressful having children and doing any sort of job. And I'm sure any parent can relate to what I've just said. It's just kids. And if you don't have kids, you don't have this problem, and you don't realize how frequent. I'm sure if you've listened to my weekly show, you've realized, wasn't his kid unwell a few weeks ago? Yeah, he was. And he's unwell again, because kids are sponges. They just pick up everything anyway. I'm sure he must lick the wall at school or so. I don't get it, but that's kids for you. And as a pediatrician, I know, because it's a conversation I have with parents all the time throughout my training. No, your kid does not have an immune system problem. Yes, kids can get unwell again and again. Yes, I do appreciate how stressful it is and how annoying it must be for your life. It is kids, and we go through it as doctors, and we understand it. So yeah, my sympathy is to all parents, and who knows how this weekend is going to go. But it's been a fun week, and as always, I've really enjoyed talking to you. I hope you've enjoyed listening to me, and until next time, goodbye.